Hi, is it working? All right, guys, 2%. Really, only 2% of your DNA codes for proteins. The rest 98 do not. So for many years, nobody really knew what it does. People called it junk DNA. But how come 98% of your DNA be junk? Then they started calling it dark genome, because they couldn't really understand what it is. And now, slowly, we're starting to understand more and more that most of this dark genome is still transcribed into RNA. And these non-coding RNAs, and especially long non-coding RNAs, are really the molecular switches which define cellular identity and function in physiological, but more importantly, in pathological disease condition. And they do it with a very high degree of tissue, cell state, and disease specificity. So how can they do it? So these are very versatile molecules, and they can act in many different ways. They can change the conformational structure of the protein, therefore turning its function on or off. They can serve as scaffolds for several protein complexes that would assemble together only if this RNA is present. And they can also guide and recruit proteins, for example, bringing them from cytoplasm into the nuclei, where they can activate downstream signaling cascades. And the fact that these RNA molecules are very specific to certain tissues makes them very attractive therapeutic targets as compared to mRNA or proteins. Because by targeting these specific RNA molecules, you can avoid potential toxicities in healthy tissues. Imagine that the human body is a giant city with different neighborhoods, different blocks being organs or tissues. So every vehicle, every car, every bus in the city is a protein. And for example, you have here a problem which leads to a disease, and this problem is caused by a bus, a big white bus. So you can ban all the buses in the entire city, and yes, you will solve the problem here, but you will also have a lot of issues in other regions of the city because buses are needed there. So instead of doing this, you can identify the specific traffic light which only on this intersection controls the movement of this particular bus, of this particular protein, and you can turn this traffic light off. And in a nutshell, this is what we do at HAYA. We identify this type of molecules, we validate their involvement into a disease progression, and then we develop therapeutics to drug them. Right now, we're focusing a lot on the fibroblast into myofibroblast activation and fibrosis as a pathological process. Our leading program is in cardiac fibrosis, but we're also working in pulmonary fibrosis, liver fibrosis, kidney fibrosis, and in oncology, working with cancer-associated fibroblasts. And this idea, this concept, can be applied to any cell state-driven diseases, for example, type 2 diabetes, when beta cells in the pancreas from functional become dysfunctional and they cannot produce insulin anymore. And I would like to talk to you a little bit about, what it feels to be part of HAYA Therapeutics, really innovative startup. So what unites all of us in HAYA, what drives us, is actually, I think it's the same thing that unites all of us here today, is really passion for cutting-edge technology and science. It's why we're all here today. It's why we're all scientists. We want to explore. We want to go into unknown and understand things that we couldn't understand before. And when you work on this edge of knowledge, when you really push the boundaries, I think it's very important to understand what it's all about, like why are you doing this, who is going to benefit from this, how it can be applied. And in HAYA, we really understand the potential of these molecules to be therapeutic targets. We understand how they can be translated into the clinic and how potentially patients can benefit from this. And I'm happy to tell you that we're actually planning our first clinical trial in the next 18 months, so we're all very excited about this. So during the last 2 years, the company has been experiencing a massive growth. So our discovery engine, which is sort of this giant flashlight that shines into the dark genome, has allowed us to identify more than 300,000 novel, previously unannotated long non-coding RNAs. And actually, our technology has been constantly improving and reiterating, and the growth rate of our platform is roughly 300% each year. So we're now working in 6 different tissues across 7 different therapeutic indications and expanding. Our team has also grown significantly, and we are now more than 30 people across 2 locations. We opened a new lab in San Diego in the US, but the place where the heart is and where we are born is here in Lausanne, in Biopol, which is actually a very great campus. And if you haven't been there, please go and visit and see how much it can offer. And so we are a very internationally diverse group of scientists. But what I think is really important here, that we're not just employees. We're all builders. We all make this company what it is right now and what it's going to be. And it's a great feeling, because when I joined HAYA, we were just 7 people. Now we're 33. And seeing how it all evolves, how it grows, and being the part of this, being the one building this, is really great. So our successes have been noticed on national and international level. We've been named one of the best startups in Switzerland last year across all sectors, actually. And we've been named #1 in the drug discovery sector. We've been also listed as one of the most promising tech bio companies in Europe. And we are now receiving a lot of attention and a lot of support from top-notch investors who recognize not only the potential of this technology, but also our expertise. And we're having a lot of discussions with big pharma that want to partner with us and work together. So it's all been really a hell of a ride. For the last 2 years since I joined, I can see it myself. This is really incredible. Every day, moving forward, developing something new, challenging. But what is my story, really? How did I get to be part of HAYA Therapeutics? So my story starts actually a long time ago in Moscow, Russia, where I'm originally from, where I studied preventive medicine and epidemiology. And somewhere at the end of my studies, I realized that I'm very interested in tropical diseases. So it took me about 2 years to realize there are not so many of them in Russia. So I went to Israel, to University of Jerusalem as a visiting scientist, where I got to work with these pathogens in a research lab. And that was really my first experience doing molecular biology research, first experience holding a pipette. And I got, to be exposed to all the scientists in that department and seeing, the work they've been doing, reading their papers, seeing their presentations. So I was like, wow, this is really something so interesting. I got so fascinated by biology, by science. So I decided to change my career and become a scientist. But I knew that my background is different, so I needed to study more. So I went to Germany, to the University of Bonn, and did master in molecular biology and immunology. And for my master thesis, I still wanted to stay in this area of tropical diseases. So I went to not-so-tropical Lausanne, where I did my master thesis and then later stayed for a PhD. And my PhD was about how our immune system, especially innate immune system, battles these tropical pathogens. And then at the end of my PhD, I wanted to focus more on the business applications of science and the intersection of science and business. So I joined HAYA. So what helped me to make these moves from one place to another? How did I manage to transition from academia into industry? And the simple answer to this, I just got lucky. I was, as was mentioned today, at the right place at the right time. I was just lucky. But what is luck, really? What is luck? So if you ask Google, Google will tell you that luck is a success or failure apparently brought by chance rather than through one's own actions. And I completely disagree with this. I believe, and I'll try to convince you, that you can manage your own luck. And in this sense, I really like this quote by philosopher from ancient Rome, Seneca, who said that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And you might be thinking, okay, great, another inspirational quote. How is it going to help me to transition? So let's talk about preparation first. What is really preparation, and how can we see preparation through the career trajectories and from different steps, especially in my career? So every time I was moving from one place to another, actually, I was feeling anything but preparation. I felt completely unprepared for whatever is going to be. But I think the very important thing is really the mindset, is your ability is to take the risks. Really just to commit to whatever is next in your life. Every time I was moving from Russia to Israel, from Israel to Germany, from Germany to Switzerland, I had very little understanding where I'm going and what I'm going to do. In most of these cases, I had never been to the country I was going to. I don't speak the language, I don't know a lot of people, but I knew it's going to open a new world of opportunities for me. It's going to be something new. I treated it as an adventure. So sometimes you just need to make this leap of faith and believe in yourself that you can do it. The second part, which is, I can describe as preparation, which is really important, as already was mentioned today, is your soft and transferable skills. Because you don't know what kind of job you're going to do in the future. What you're thinking today is something that you want to do might change very quickly. And you need to develop the skills that can be applied across different sectors. And the importance of the soft skills, I learned the very hard way. So in my case, it was presentation and communication skills. And I remember the first time I had to make a scientific presentation in front of the audience in English, which is also not my mother tongue, was during my master time in Germany. And it really didn't go well. So I didn't know the topic very well. I wasn't very prepared. I was shaking. I was super stressed. I was sweating. I was mumbling. I spent most of the time reading my slides and standing like this, so the audience could only see my back. And finally, when that nightmare finished, I turned around and I saw the same face. There was this one. And the professor who led this course, he tried to cheer me up. So he told me, Dmitry, don't worry, I've seen worse. Which literally meant that he had never seen worse, right? So I remember I felt really devastated that day. And I just thought, okay, I cannot do it. I cannot make a presentation about science in English in front of the people. But then I made a conscious decision to do something about it, to improve. And I realized that if you spend enough time preparing, practicing, and you know what you're talking about, you can do it well. So you just need to, practice. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to challenge yourself and improve. You need to make a conscious decision. You need to identify that, okay, I'm lacking these skills, so I need to improve. And you need to commit to this. It needs to be conscious. So slowly, I realized that not only that I can do it, I also enjoy it. And what I enjoy more, I enjoy taking complex scientific concepts and breaking them down to clear, simple messages. I enjoy explaining science in a way that non-scientists can understand. So I started doing a lot of science communication activities, participating in competitions like FameLab and Science Slam, and I won a few of them. And that gave me even more confidence that I can do it. So then I started seeking every opportunity to give a talk and present and explain my PhD research and also other scientific topics that I was passionate about. And at some point, people started inviting me to their events. So I went to Germany, Bulgaria, UK. Felt pretty cool. One day, I was even invited to the UK embassy in Bern, and I had to give a talk for the ambassador of the United Kingdom. I had to buy a suit for that day. And at some point, people even asked me, can you teach us how to do it? So I developed a workshop on how to communicate science on stage. So don't hesitate to ask me for help if you need. But going to all of these events, it was pretty cool. And yes, I was enjoying it. I was realizing, okay, so I like to present and I like to talk about science. But then I was seeing that organizing all of these events is actually very, very difficult. And huge thanks to the organizers of today's event. I know your pain. The job they've done is really incredible. So I wanted to learn how to organize and run events. So I joined Skills for Scientists initiative in Biopol campus, where we organize different workshops and courses for PhD and postdocs, different career events, and just social gatherings. And it was also a good experience running and managing this type of activities. Finally, I organized the Pint of Science Festival. Some of you may know it's a scientific 3-day festival when scientists go to bars and then they present their science to general audience and everybody's having a beer. Perfect. And so that was really great experience managing from A to Z a big 3-day activity like this. And I learned a lot from doing this. And during all of these events that either I was a speaker or an organizer, I met a lot of people. And this is really the third part of preparation, which is very important, networking. So in one of these career events, I met a CEO and founder of HAYA. At the time, the company was just 2 people. So I later invited him to be a speaker at the Pint of Science Festival. So we kept in touch. And by the time I finished my PhD, the company started to grow. So there was an opportunity for me to join. And when I joined HAYA, all these soft skills, all these communication skills became very useful. Because when you're in a startup, you have to wear multiple hats. So I was writing grant application. I was helping our scientists to communicate their research projects. I was even driving HR and interviewing people when we were expanding. And for the last year, I'm focusing on business and corporate development, where we need to interact with investors and pharma companies, potential partners, and we need to communicate our value proposition very clearly and concisely. And this is how I ended up being prepared for this transition. So what about opportunity? So obviously, if you see an opportunity, you need to take it. You need to be prepared and take it. Don't just ignore it, and it's easy to say. But what if opportunity doesn't come? If you expect that somebody come to you and say, oh, here is a job, take it, most likely it will not happen. Don't sit and wait for this to happen. Sometimes you just need to create opportunities out of nothing. So when I was in Russia and I was so obsessed with these tropical diseases, I wanted to go somewhere and study them. I just was Googling labs that work in this space. And I found that lab in Israel, and I sent them an email saying, hi, I'm from Russia, I'm interested in these tropical diseases, send me something to read. And then they sent me some papers. And then I was going to go there and visit a friend, and I sent them an email saying, hi, I'm going to be in town, can I visit? Okay. So during my visit, I said, wow, I like it here, can I work here? And they said, well, we don't know, but you need to bring your own money. So then I found a scholarship. I had some savings. I just dropped everything I had, and I went there. There was no opportunity. There was no, they didn't search for anybody. I had to make it. And then when I was in Germany doing my master, I wanted to do my master thesis in the same field, but they didn't have a lab focusing on this. So again, my good friend Google helped me. I just searched for different labs, sent my CV, sent my email. And then the professor from here, from UNIL, said, yes, you can come, but you need to arrange it on your own. So I found 2 professors in Germany who agreed to supervise and grade my master thesis so I can graduate. So then I arranged all the paperwork, all the visas, so I came here. So there was no established collaboration. Nobody, was saying, oh, there is an opportunity, you want to go there. No, you have to make it. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but sometimes, you have to do it. But most of the times, you don't really need to go that far. All it takes is just to ask for an opportunity. 2 months after I arrived here during my master thesis, I came to my professor and I said, you're a cool guy, the lab is cool, I like the city, I want to do my PhD here. He said, okay. And so then at the end of my PhD, when I was looking for a job, I reached out to the CEO of HAYA Therapeutics and I said, hi, you remember me? I organized Pint of Science Festival, you were a speaker there. This is my CV, this is what I can do, I'm looking for a job, is there opportunity? Suddenly, there is. And this is why I believe that you can manage your own luck. You can be in full control of your preparation, and you can, to a large extent, influence the amount of opportunities you're exposed to. So, I don't know what will be next in my career, but I know that if I stick to this mindset, at some point, I'll move forward and get lucky again. And so will you. So go and get lucky.
Thank you, Dmitry, very much for this inspiring talk, and I invite all the speakers of this session for